Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going over a Dodge Charger Scat Pack, and not just any Charger. This is a wide body Charger. Super excited to finally be able to review this car so I can give you guys my impressions on it. A huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Provo for providing us with this wide body Charger. This is literally one of the only ones in the state of Utah, so if you're looking at one, they've got one. Definitely check them out. Let's get right into the video. Under the hood of the Charger Scat Pack, we have a naturally aspirated 6.4 liter Hemi V8 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 485 horsepower and then 475 pound-feet of torque, with fuel economy being 15 around town and then 24 on the highway. Now let's go over the front end on the wide body. And before we get into the wide body aspect of it, first off, I absolutely love the hoods on the Scat Packs. Now they obviously stole that from the SRTs, but it just looks so cool with the car. And then you've got the lights, so it's got halogen projector bulbs with LED accent lights just around it. You got your Scat Pack logo right there, and the front fascia on this is just so aggressive. But just look at the overall front end on this. Like, it's just so wide and so aggressive. The wide body package completely transforms the front end. It just looks absolutely insane in my opinion. I love the aesthetic of it. And then, by the way, if you're wondering what that is, that's just the bumper guard right there just to protect it for the first owner. Obviously they get that taken off once someone purchases the car. But yeah, just look at the fender flares on it. It looks so crazy. I like the look of it. That's just my opinion. Actually, going over the wide body aspect of it, first off, with the tire and wheel setup, the tires are 305 millimeters and then they're on 20-inch wheels. And then yes, you can see you've got some Brembo brakes there, and then the setup in the rear is identical to what's in the front. Now they do performance suspension with the wide body package as well, so you get obviously the increased performance from the brakes and then also from the suspension. But yeah, just look at the fender flares. It just looks absolutely crazy. You've got the 392 badging right there on the side, and then here's your side profile, which I think the front end looks the best, but the side still looks cool. Like, this is still a cool look. Now here's the key fob on this particular wide body. You got the Dodge logo on the back. You've got a couple functions here. You've got the unlock, the lock, the remote start, and then the release of the trunk, which, yeah, we just got to get this over with, guys. It's loud. That's all you need to know. It's really loud. The next function on the key is the release for the trunk, so just press that twice and it'll pop right open. And then coming in here, you guys can see trunk space is pretty much identical to any other Charger. Well, it is identical. So yeah, nothing's changed there, and you actually do get some extra space under here and to fix a flat kit. We're gonna keep that simple because there's nothing interesting back there. So see ya. Now the last thing is gonna be the rear end, and just enjoy this look because it looks so crazy from the rear. You get the lower profile spoiler, you got the lights there in the back that when people drive behind you they think that you're a cop. Scat Pack logo as well, dual outlet exhaust, and then here's the crazy thing. Directly behind it, it just looks like a regular Charger. You're like, oh, it's just a regular Charger. And then you come to the side and you're like, oh man, this guy means business. 305s. So let's come to this part of the rear and just look how it's like split between the door with the fender. I think that's kind of interesting. But you guys can see the door panel here. So you've got the cloth trim right there and the leather just down below. And then this one does have the cloth interior. This one's pretty much a base model wide body, which is pretty cool. Now, stepping in, step in height, it's pretty easy to get in just like any other Charger. You guys can see legroom is solid back here, and yeah, if you're wondering, I'm about 5'11", so I've got a decent amount of room back here. And then you guys can see you got some vents back here, a couple of USBs, and you got this little pull-out thing here for some cup holders, and that's all for the back. Coming to the front, we do get keyless entry here in the front, and then the door isn't attached to the fender like it is in the rear. Now, actually opening this up, you guys can see you've got some nice cloth trim here, and then the leather with the stitching as well. All of your window controls right there in that little area, and then you got the Scat Pack logo here on the front seats with the interesting cloth design that goes down. They are power adjustable for the seats. Here's what the pedals look like. Then you got your light controls, and then here's what the back of the steering wheel looks like with those little rocker panels on the back, and there's that look before we pop in. Now to start her up, foot in the brake, push the push start, and everything will come to life. Here's the steering wheel in the wide body Scat Pack. Pretty simple on the design. So you've got smooth leather at the top and at the bottom, perforated leather on the side, so it's a little bit grippier. You've got your little paddles to shift the gears yourself, and then there's rocker panels on the back of the steering wheel as well to change your radio stations, cruise control. On top of that, you get your voice commands just down below, and that's your stock for the lights, the turn signal, all of that, and that's the steering wheel. Now here for the center stack, you've got RPMs on the left side and the right side. You've got the speed, and then you've got a couple different menus you can kind of scroll through for different bits of vehicle information. You can even do like the performance. This thing I think is pretty cool. Top speed, 12 miles an hour. Yeah, buddy. But you guys can go through all the different performance elements on the car, which I just think is really neat in general. And other than that, it's just a pretty normal center stack here, nothing too crazy apart from what Dodge has done on all their other cars. Here for the center stack, let's go with the backup camera first and foremost. You guys can see that the trajectory lines turn with the steering wheel, and resolution on it's pretty solid as well. Now, the rest of the screen, touch response time on it is really good. You got your heated seats, heated steering wheel on top of that, and yeah, it's just a good touchscreen in general. Now, you do have the SRT dashboard, which will pull up stuff like your drive modes, for example, you can go through. And then if I go back to the original page on the SRT dashboard, you actually do have shift indicator lights if you want that. You've got line locks, you can do some massive burnouts, and you've got the performance pages. This does come with launch control as well, so you can like set the RPMs and everything with the launch control, which I think is pretty neat while these performance pages are loading up. And yeah, it's just cool, all like little performance tech that you get with this. Now, with the performance pages, they're basically just going to show you different bits of information on the car. So like you can see real-time horsepower. So like if I feather the throttle a little bit, it'll show you real-time horsepower. It shows you a dyno down there that'll show you that as well. You can see a little spike right there in horsepower and torque. And then you got like the little engine here that'll just give you numbers on it. So that's everything for the center stack. Now down here, you've got the analog controls for the radio, and you've got your button for the launch control and then the different drive modes. And if you guys are wondering what those drive modes were, they are auto, custom, sport, and track. And then back down here, you've got your dual zone climate controls. You got a little 12 volt right there. Here's the shifter for the 8-speed automatic transmission. There's a manual shift function if you want to shift the gears yourself. And you got a couple cup holders right here at that little covering. Center console, which is covered in leather, even though this has cloth seats. And then another little 12 volt right there. And then finally, you've got the glove box here, which is again lined with felt 2 tiers. And got a little 392 on the dash, so that your passenger knows you mean business. Up top here, we've got universal garage openers. This one doesn't have a sunroof, but you can get that as an option. Black headliner, and there's not really anything else for me to talk about at top, so see ya. Now that we're done going over the interior on the Scat Pack, let's quickly get into pricing. So this particular Scat Pack stickers for about $49,000 for any type of market adjustment, which most of that price actually comes from the wide body. So the base price on a Scat Pack is about $40,000. The wide body package is like $6 grand. So that adds quite a bit of a premium to the car itself. That all being said though, let's take her out and see how she drives. Well, let's talk about visibility here on the wide body Scat Pack, see if that's changed at all. Visibility of the hood, it's identical. Both of the mirrors, it's identical. I guess the one sad thing is if you have the mirrors tilted, not pointing super far down, you can't really see that it's a wide body from inside. But that's fine, at least you know everyone else can see how cool your car looks, and well, let's set off. Well, I'm about to set off here in the wide body, and this is the first test right here to see if we can squeeze this fat little car through here. Just kidding. It's really not hard to drive compared to a regular Charger. I almost keep saying Challenger. Geez, I feel like an idiot because they don't even look remotely similar to each other. But so far, yeah, like I said, feels like a normal Charger. Nothing too crazy with it. The steering definitely, I feel like it has a little bit more feedback to it though, when I'm noticing. Definitely feels a little bit heavier compared to a regular Charger. And I just drove a Scat Pack Challenger the other day, and this definitely feels a little bit different than that with the steering. So it's pretty interesting. I like it though. I definitely am someone who prefers heavier steering. So if you like kind of like that heavier steering rack, then this definitely has that. And it looks like we're going to be stuck here for a minute. The one thing I do want to mention while we are stuck here for a minute is this car gets so many looks. Like in just a time period of me filming it, right? I'm on a lot, which is not in the main road. I had like 3 people drive by, like go off the main road onto the lot just to take a picture of this car while I was filming it. Ooh, it's got a lot of torque. Anyways, yeah, this car gets so much attention. Like it's definitely one of those cars that just people look at because it looks crazy. Now initially setting off, it's actually pretty smooth. I'm surprised with this. I thought this was going to be a little bit rougher, but it definitely drives really smooth. Obviously when you go over stuff, it is going to upset it for sure, and you guys kind of saw with the throttle response, it's just kind of crazy just a little bit. You got to get used to it. And this is coming from someone who has a 650 horsepower ZL1. It's interesting just like how responsive this throttle is on the car. But the handling, yeah, I mean, it steers about the same as a Charger. Like I said, it just feels like the steering's a little bit heavier. In terms of like the body roll, it definitely feels more planted. I can for sure perceive a difference on this. Yeah, and I think a big part of that's going to be just the tire width, not necessarily the wide body itself, just the fact that this has wider tires, which obviously that's part of the package, but you can put pretty wide tires on these stock, and let's hope that I can beat these cars. Yep, we can beat them. Okay, well, we were gonna get an acceleration until this Chevy got in the way. Now we're gonna go over and, okay, now we're gonna get our acceleration here. That's good. Wow. Yeah, like there's no drama at all. This gets way better traction compared to a regular SOT. And again, I expect that. Wider tires. I mean, this has such wider tires compared to a regular Scat Pack. But yeah, this car is cool. I really like this car. Like, it looks really cool. It handles really well for a Charger. So here's what I have to say. If you want a fun, sporty Charger that is kind of more like closer to like feeling like a Challenger, if that makes sense, but even more so just like handles so much better, that's where this stands. But I guess the biggest thing is you're gonna get this package if you want something that looks a lot cooler. That's what you're gonna have to go for, is just purely from the looks perspective, because $6,000 is a lot, and you could get this up to handling like this for a lot less than $6,000. So you're gonna have to want the looks. That's the biggest thing, is you're gonna have to want the looks. And so if you want the looks, then that's where it will for sure be worth it. And there we have it, everyone, the 2020 Dodge Charger wide body Scat Pack. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Provo for providing us with the Scat Pack. Check out their inventory in the link below. I will see all of you guys in the next video.